Hello there. Here are the solutions to you have a problem set number 6. Alright, so for our first one, we have the following problem. 2 times 2r minus 7, which is in parentheses, plus 2 times 7r minus 7, and the 7r minus 7 is in parentheses. Alright, so when we have problems like this one, the first thing we need to take in consideration is the order of operations. In other words, what are the steps that I should take in order to solve this problem? So remember GEMDAS. I know some of you like to use PEMDAS, but for more advanced math problems, especially at the high school level, you need to remember that you will be approached with more than just parentheses. And that is the reason why I choose the G over the P. Because you need to know that you will have problems that will have different types of grouping symbols. So G stands for grouping symbols, the E stands for exponents, the M stands for multiplication, the D stands for division, and the A and the S stands for addition and subtraction. And you should solve problems using the order of operations, solving things that are in grouping symbols first. You need to look at your problems carefully to see if there's anything that has exponents, square roots, fractions, any of those things that you have to do, they will take priority over addition and subtraction, and then also multiplication and division. And that's why we take care of the things in grouping symbols first and the exponents. Next, after you take care of those components, then you're going to multiply or divide, and it depends on which order the multiplication or division comes, and we work our problems from left to right. And also addition, left to right. Okay, so now let's look at the problem. I wrote my problem again. What we're going to do is we're going to use the distributive property. So I'm going to say 2 times 2r, and then I'm going to multiply 2 times r. When I use the distributive property, I will get the following result. I will have 4r, because 2 times 2 is 4, 4r minus 14. That's because 2 times 7 is 14. Don't forget your addition sign. And then we're going to solve the next set. That's 2 times 7r. 2 times 7 is 14. And we have the r. And we have 2 times 7. And the result of that transaction is 14r minus 14. So the second thing we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. So we're going to go back. We have 4r minus 14 plus 14r minus 14. Now, when I reviewed some of your answers, some of you canceled out the 14s. And I'm not 100% why you canceled out the 14s, because we're not working across equal signs. We're just simplifying this expression. So instead of canceling the 14s, you need to combine the like terms. So you're going to combine negative 14, or you're going to combine what I would say negative 14 with negative 14, or you would combine the like terms. So you have 4r and 14r. You're going to combine those two terms and your result would be 18. Now, usually I turn my subtraction situations, I transform it to addition because it's easier to add than to subtract. That's the rules I've always lived by. But if you have negative 14 plus a negative 14, they're not going to cancel each other out. You're going to add them together, and your answer would be negative 28. So when I put everything together, my answer would be 18R minus 28 or 18R plus a negative 28. Depends on how you write your answer. That's how you do that problem, number 1. All right, for the second problem, a similar problem, and we're going to use the order of operations again. Okay, so I'm looking at my my terms in the parentheses. Is there anything I can do to simplify those terms? There's nothing I can do to simplify anything in the parentheses, so I'm going to use my distributive property. So I have negative 2 times 2 plus 3p plus 9p is equal to negative p plus 41. So like I mentioned, there's nothing in the parentheses that I can simplify. So I'm going to use my distributive property. Negative 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 2 times 3p is negative 6p. Then I have plus 9, and then I have equal to negative 6p plus 41. So now I'm going to combine like terms. So I have a negative 6p and a positive 9p. Combine like terms. When I combine negative 6p and 9p, my answer would be 3p, a positive 3. So on the left-hand side of my equation, I have negative 4 and a positive 3. On the right side of my equation, I have negative 6p and a positive 41. Still combining like terms, I see negative 4, and on the other side of the equation, I see a positive 41. Remember, in order to solve this problem, we're solving for p, and we need to combine like terms, but also isolate the variable. So in order to isolate that variable, I'm going to add 4 to both sides of my equations. So because this is a negative 4, I'm going to add 4. Negative 4 and 4, the result is 0, so they cancel each other out. And by doing so, I am left on the left-hand side with 3p, and on the right-hand side, I have negative 6p, and I'm going to combine the positive 4 with the positive 41, and my result will be 45. So now I see that I'm closer to the point in which I can solve for p. So since I have a negative 6p on the right hand side, I'm going to cancel the negative 6p on the right hand side. And what I do, in order to do that, I'm going to add positive 6p to both sides. So positive 6p plus 3p is going to give me a total of 9p on the left, and on the right I'm left with 45. Now looking at the result I have, I know that I'm not 100% finished with this problem because I know what 9p is, but I'm not 100% sure what p is. So in order to solve for p, I will have to divide by 9. So what I do on one side, I also have to do to the other side. So when I divide by 9, I am left with P on the left-hand side. And when I divide 45 by 9, the result is 5. So P is equal to 5. And that is how I solve that problem. That's how I solved that problem. All right, so the next problem is a word problem. And I added the word problem because a lot of you have problems with word problems. But what you need to do to solve word problems is just look at the word problem and figure out exactly what it is asking you. So here's the original problem. The original problem says, Kwan has a job that pays her $8 per hour plus tips. So she gets a standard rate of $8 per hour, and then she also receives tips. It says Kwan works for 4 hours on Monday, and she made $65 for that day. So our task is to, number one, we're going to write an equation. We're going to write an equation for this problem so we can determine what the amount of the tip was. And then we're going to solve. We're going to solve the equation. We're going to solve the problem with our equation and find out what the tip was for that day. Okay? So, analyze the problem. What is it asking? Well, it's asking us, number one, like I mentioned before, to write an equation. So we're going to have to write an equation. That is part A. You have to write the equation in order to get credit for part A. Part B is where you put the answer. How much was the tip for that day? So it says that she has a job that pays her $8 an hour plus her tip. Then it says that on Monday, she worked 4 hours. So breaking this down, we know that she makes $8 per hour. The PH is per hour. And she also gets a tip, and that's T. On Monday, she only worked 4 hours, and she made $65. All right, so we know that she worked 4 hours. We know that she gets paid $8 an hour. We also know that she receives tips. And because of the standard amount that she was paid plus the tip she received, she took home $65. So $8 an hour means that, and she worked 4 hours. That means that she made $32 from her standard pay. We do not know how much the tips were, but we do know that she made $65. So in order to find out the tip, we're going to subtract her base pay from the total. And by doing that, we get a difference of $33. So $33 is actually her tip. So we put everything, we analyzed our word problem, and we wrote everything down in terms. So how would we write it in equation form? So let's let our H stand for hours. She worked 8 hours. So 8 times H represents the number of hours that she will work. Even though this is for Monday, if it was Sunday, we would still use the same variable to help us figure out her pay. So if she worked 10 hours on Sunday, she would make 8 times 10, which is 80. If she worked 1 hour on Tuesday, that would be 8 times 1, which is $8, and so on and so on. So that is how we can figure up, or we can figure out that she made $32 because 8 times whatever number you substitute for H, that is going to give you her base pay. All right, so we know that she made $65. So for the equation, you can say 8H plus T, and I made, even though the problem has a lowercase t for the tips, I used a uppercase T to distinguish it from the plus sign. So 8H plus T equals 65. That is the basic equation that you can use to figure out how much money she made on Monday. All right, and like what was mentioned here, we subtracted the amount that she made per hour, which was $32, from the total that she made, and our answer was $33. So her tip is $33. And that is how you solve problems. This is how you solve this problem, and this is how you would solve other problems similar to this. This example is this is a real good example of how you would use math in your everyday life, because everyone needs to know how to figure out their pay. So this is a very good example of a real life math skill. All right, thanks.